sorry to not speak in German, but as some people say, life is too short to learn German. I will present here this work that I'm doing since 2010, and it called I O Ich un altro in Italian. I is another, ein is an anderer in German. And the first I-O could be translated also as 1 and 0, because it's the binary ASCII code from computers. And it's a kind of digital inclusion for some people that are more than 200 people with various sorts of disability in Italy that they used to take part of this experimental laboratories that is funded by the kind of onlus NGO called Comunità di Sant'Egidio in Rome. They are mainly in the suburbs, and the people who has access to these laboratories comes from sometimes very hardcore backgrounds. And I was invited. I made an exhibition in a museum on Africa in 2009, and some people, there is a scientific board of this community that are trying to put some cultural, also artist melange inside these laboratories. They do lots of things, like they helped film the peace street in Africa, in Mozambique, and also in Angola, and they do several international works. But they deal with drug addicts, poverty, and several handicap, any kind of problem within the Italian society that sometimes, and most of the time, the state can't make it. It's a very awkward work for me, because it was the first time I was introduced. So in 2009, they contacted me. In 2010, I start to research and make the first contact. And I divided this work in 4, I call it verifications, verifica in Italian. In homage, there is an experimental film that I like very much from Baruchello and Griffi from 1964, called The Uncertain Verifica. And this work was very uncertain, because I know that how I'm gonna start, but I don't know how I'm gonna end. And that's, I think, for creativity, for art, would be the main basis for anything. Like, I have my fixed points, but if I had already the solution, if I had already known what I'm going to do with them, it won't be anything new. So all this 3, almost 4 years gave me a lot, because I learned so much of the disabled people. They have several kinds of disability: mental, physical. Some people had some diseases like poliomyelitis, and also meningitis or something like that. From like the last case of meningitis in Italy, the guy was born in 1959, something like that. And the group that are doing these 9 labs around the suburbs of Rome, they call themselves gli amici, the friends. And they are all, and this is very fundamental, because sometimes they're really, the first time I went there, and I said, oh my God, what's going to happen? Because I never had experienced this in my family or my friends and things. Can I be able to do something like this, to work with disabled people, and not to make a mistake? And then I started. The first time I went, I felt they were really true artists, because they don't have the social masks like we have. Like you have to make. Sometimes we behave in a way, thinking in another thing. They love and hate. They like you and they don't like you. They dislike you. They do, and the most beautiful thing, and everything they do, the artwork they do because they want to, and they don't want to sell. They don't have an ego to be. They do because they need it. And one of the most commoting thing for me was a 60-year-old guy who called it Giovanni Feno. He's from Sardinia, and if he doesn't paint every day at least 10 pieces, 10 drawings, he gets depressed and he can't live without this. And his dream is to make his solo show, the only dream in life, you know. And then the first time I'll start to explain you a bit, and I'll put some videos. One of the videos is a documentary that I'm making on this work, and they don't have subtitles. I'll put in mute, and I'll explain to you more or less what is going on. And the first part of the verifications is my point of view on them, and I'm not used to this computer, but I think I'll have full screen here. Okay, great. It loses all the graphic things that you put in. The Géométre is a phrase from Humboldt. He wrote in the 1800s, 3 times in a letter for a friend of his. And it's like a wrong way to say I am another, but it's very like the otherness, the alterity. My starting point was to research in the border of the normality, and then to put myself in their places, and also I want them to put in my place, because they were doing the art labs because they have something in common through art. And okay, this is the ASCII code for you now, and it's made of zeros and ones. All the computer language is based in zeros and ones. And this is also very symbolic for me, because sometimes, especially probably in Latin countries, that people that sometimes the life is so full of other things that people that has a minimal disability is considered a zero. So it's like it doesn't count in society. And I think this is a huge mistake, because I think the disabled it's not a caste, it's not a race, it's not anything. It's part of humanity. And in the way we integrate this to humankind, I think we will really enrich ourselves, as I did during these 3 years, as everyone that works in collaboration with me and them, everyone has enriched themselves in a way. Well, this is phrased by Humboldt that means this otherness. This is about the main title of the work. It started very conceptualistic. I used to make that encounters with them, and then I used to meet the curator, which is a professor from the University of Rome, and other PhDs in art history and disability, and we start talking and try to build up a process. But in fact, the talking was not very effective, and when I start shooting, the first verification, this is the 4 stages of the work. The verifica 1 is that I start to try to understand and put myself and make a series of interviews and photographs on them. It would be like my point of view on them. The second one was I made a series of workshops with them. The HTC company, it's a Taiwanese company, gave us 40 mobile phones. Was cutting edge at the time. They used to film and make HD photos, and we made this workshop with them, and they start to make a work that they never had done before, photography and video. The third one is like the other parts of society that are looking to us. It was culminated in the Biennale, the Venice Biennale, when we present this work inside the archive of the Biennale in the Giardini. And we had, me and the curator, we invited several parts of society to come along and talk about that question. There is some philosophers, some writers, there is the daughter of Franco Basaglia, was the guy who was a psychiatrist and made a very political work in Italy. In '74 he opened the doors of the manicomiums, and she runs his foundation, and an artist called Paolo Rosa from Studio Azzurro, and he runs now the Museum of Mind in Rome, and several people that works with this kind of things. The Verifica 4 was another thing, because I made with Christine Elias, which is here, and I'll call her in a bit. We started making performance. She came to Italy. She was living in Berlin. She doesn't speak any Italian, so I asked all the disabled that doesn't speak as well to interact with her in a body language basis. In the end, more than 100 wanted to participate, but then you see the results. And okay, let's start with this Verifica 1. The Verifica 1 was my point of view. The other thing was 0 and 1, I-O. It means like me, I in English, in ich. It's a paraphrase also. And this started from March to December, this meeting researchers and things on the project. And they are from these labs. For example, each one has one characteristic. It's Anna Maria Cordoni, she used to write. She, every day, reads all the papers and make a resume and writes. So I want to make, inside the project, we want to make a web blog for her writings to make public to the world. And this is a series of the meetings. Then we won from the Brazilian Biennale of São Paulo. We won a prize in money to start the project. Then I started. And then I construct that thing that called video booth to isolate them chemically and imagery. And we start the first. I'll show you now the first video that explains more or less. elettronica, un lavoro svolto da tribunali nel laboratorio d'arte della comunità di Sant'Egidio, e nel corso di quest'ora avremo una serie di azioni, una serie di incontri, una serie di workshop, una serie di lavoro in crocevia, da varie discipline, non solo nell'arte ma fuori, si sviluppa attraverso la ricerca dei confini del linguaggio, dei confini anche della sanità.
Sono normalissima, non viene considerata come una persona disabile.
Io non penso che sono capace a giudicare le cose, che sono capace a dare un discorso serio.
Io sinceramente mi sento bene come sono.
Mi sento molto al telegiornale, leggo i giornali, quello non è la normalità, secondo me. Secondo me è la normalità che io mi sento normale e ci sta tanta gente che può essere normale, può essere che non è.
Mostrare questo concetto di corso, il rapporto tra
Ok. I will quickly now press animation on end. It begins from the beginning. Okay. Oops. Okay. And this was a thing that a phrase when I was filming that I wrote because there's something about to do with, I don't know who, but it's a phrase that came in a dream. That they are saying to me, my physical presence is what which restore to your eyes my image or illusion of my truly representation. Because I was not dealing with them, and I was really interested to several facts like representation of themselves, self-portraiting, what they think about themselves. I was really interested to know their lives. So in a way, it was very interesting that I didn't know anything about. So I wanted to know from them what they think about life, how they live reality, what they think of themselves, what they think about reality can be changed. And well, the symbols, like this play, I got a studio there, and we put this thing, and the symbol of this thing is like me and another. It's like one person speaking to the other. But in the middle of the shooting, I was at the same time teaching some of them how to make interviews and things like that. So in a certain point, some of them started to interview me, the curator, and the other people that has to do with the Comunità Sant'Egidio community. So it's not like a work of a director that make a point of view fixed on the world, and he like put the voiceover and explain the thing. He imposes his point of view. It would be like a horizontal work, like me and them in the same level, trying to communicate, trying to speak about several arguments in existence. For example, I used to put the words like, I used to ask about what they think about love, God, death. What's the most important thing in life for them? What's reality? Because some abstract concepts was a bit interesting to know. What they want. The first day was really nice. He said, okay, there is Agnello, which is, he's on a wheelchair. Her parents are heroin addicts, and he was born with several difficulties. But he's really intelligent. He's really a computer nerd addict. And I said, Agnello, what do you want to say to the world? We are now making this interview. Probably one day people are going to see this. And I said, just that I love them. Just that I love them. And this was very, very nice. Just in the beginning, so we got really things that nobody thought. Even the people in the community that I worked there for 9 years, for the last 9 years, they didn't know how rich the human material was in there. So the second part was this. Okay, I made this first verification in the Museum of Rome, and these are the works. And this is about this word kalos kaiagatos, which is in Greek means the truth is the beauty, more or less. And this is about the film also, that one of the word dancing is the one that called kalos kaiagatos, and I found this phrase. This is, well, I don't want to speak about each work right now because I don't want to, but this is Gabriele Tagliaferro. He is an autist, he doesn't speak, but he writes, and he looks like a poet when he writes. He looks like Nietzsche sometimes. And this is also Sonia Suspirato. She doesn't speak, but she has a computer communication, and she's really, really poetic when she writes. And this is the second part where we have these phones, and we start we used to make this kind of workshops. We chip them, then we go to the computer, saw the photos, saw the videos, and I will explain them what they were wrong. This is the Agnello, the guy who said he loves everyone. And my intention is to make now in May this photo book with their photos. For example, I asked them to photograph their reality and an auto self-portrait, and the truth, what's truth for them, and they come with. I won't show you now because if not, you won't see anything in Venice. So it's about 20 people that make the workshop with these mobile phones. And also, in the meantime, I made portraits of them. There is about 200, and my intention is to make a work which is divided, me and them, my point of view of them and their point of view of them. And this is another story. This could be a beautiful documentary. This is the story of Patricia and Vincenzo. I would call love story, and in Italian, with bad reason. And they, when she was 12, her mother was a prostitute. She's like in a Pasolini's film. She was a prostitute, and when she was 12, her mother used to hire the Patricia to her clients as well. And she doesn't speak, and she was a child and she couldn't do anything. When she was 18, her mother died, and her bigger brother, older brother, started carrying on this. But he was a drug addict, and he sold the only house they had to get some money and falsified Patricia's signature. Then she was in the streets, like a beggar, for a few months. And the people of the community brought them, I don't know how, to the laboratory once. And there she met this guy, who's Vincenzo. He's from a background, very working class family, but he used to work making pizzas, and they fall in love. And they are like 20 years together, and every day he brings to her flowers, and every day she goes and pick up new work, and it's a kind of I think a love story that we have a lot to learn. This is the installation which do this. And some of the parts of the work I do with them, the workshops, I think was supposed to have two things that I want them to capture the reality. Probably we can see another kind of reality that I don't see. So the first I went to the Macro, the museum of Contemporary Art of Rome. I had a video there, and there was a kind of inauguration vernissage, and we went there. And the second one, this is my project. The second one is to bring them to the Venice Biennale and the inauguration. Also, I want you to put them in the. And we went there, and then we made the presentation in the Biennale afterwards with all these people. And for me, one of the most challenging things was the fourth Verifica, which is also, this is a thing, a show that I curate of one of them in this museum. She doesn't speak, she's deaf, and she's autistic. I don't know what she thinks, but she makes beautiful paintings. And this is the show we made last November, and I cured and selected and make the text. And then for me, now the most challenging thing is Verifica 4, which for the first time in my life I'm dealing with performance. And then the physical presence starts to be just the representation of themselves. And I would like to ask Christina to come here, and I would like to just show a small video of. This is the work we made with them. Oh, okay. Okay. And, okay, we will show this film later on, because we don't have much time. I'm sorry, I was too. And now we were invited to participate in a Biennale Venice, as part of the Biennale Venice, in the Officina dell'Esattera, which is the inauguration going to be the 29th, 30th, 31st of May, with the whole work. So, I don't know, I'm going to make the location next week and you can see everything there. And if someone is interested, I will leave here. There's a book about this. It's called Da Disabile Personas in Italian, and there is a book there is an English book that is about this work. Thank you very much.